doing? That was the most muted response I have ever heard. Can someone give me, I'm doing all right? Yes, I like it. Brilliant. First of all, I don't know about you, but I just found out I'm Willie Walsh's support act. So if I get a loud enough round of applause from you at the end, I'm going on the world tour. So I really need your help with this one. But on a serious note, the guys sitting at the back, could you all, in the back 2 blocks, can you all stand up, please? Come on. Be a bit more engaged. Can you come down the front so you can get the best seat possible? 1, so you're closer. 2, so you can give more banter to the panel. And 3, so you can get a better seat for the rest of the day. My name's Will. I'm head of strategy at the Trampery. For those that don't know, we create beautiful workspaces for startups, entrepreneurs, and innovators. And we partnered with London & Partners to open the Traveltech Lab, which is home to a community of over 30 travel tech businesses looking to disrupt travel. So for us, we're massive travel geeks. And the success story of the lab is very much a success story of the partnership. For those who aren't familiar with London & Partners, they're behind the scene of London's tech success. So every time you hear a big tech company move to London, every big investment deal, chances are behind it, there was someone from London & Partners being an evangelist for the tech scene in London. At the Trampery, we're really good at putting together communities. So being able to connect startups and entrepreneurs with London & Partners' network of over 600 corporates in the travel space means a lot. Now, at the Traveltech Lab, we have one objective, partially because we've got really bad memory, but also because it makes it simple. We want to make London the best place in the world for a travel tech business. And that's a really big thing. But for us, it's not actually about startups, which sounds a bit counterintuitive, but it's not. It's about you guys. A successful ecosystem has many parts. If you haven't got fertile soil, there's just no point trying to grow everything. So the key thing for me today, and the message that I really want you to get away from this session, is engage. And I really mean engage. Because being a startup is tough enough, but actually doing it in a hostile environment is even worse. Whereas if you work with big companies, and you have the ability to get them to open their arms to people with really good ideas, that's really important. Now, travel tech lab businesses, or even travel tech businesses, they're a little bit like children. You're not allowed to have favorites, but secretly you do. And we're really lucky, because today we've got 3 of the most incredible businesses. So they're going to run through a little bit about what they do, and then we're going to have a Q&A session. But to give you a little bit of an idea about the quality that we've got on the stage, between the 3 of them, in the last 12 months, they've raised over £10 million in investment. Now, I've yet to make £10 million, so I can't tell you how difficult that is, but I strongly suspect that that's probably an amazing sign of the quality we've got. So what we're going to do is have 3 8-minute sessions, and then we're going to open up the floor for questioning. We will be using Slido for questions, but I will take them from the floor as well. So if you could go to where we are on the schedule, in the event schedule for Slido, and submit your questions that way, that would be brilliant. But we're going to start with our first brief session from Nick Larson, who's head of Europe at TimeLooper. And can we please welcome him to the stage?
Good afternoon, guys. How are you all?
Yes.
So thank you very much for that introduction, Will. My name is Nick Larson. I am the head of Europe for a company called TimeLooper. So these pictures right here, these are some of the most inspiring destinations in the world. They're iconic locations that have bore witness to incredible events, the events that have shaped the world today. These top 100 sites, they see 1 billion people a year, which is about $10 billion in gated revenue. So this shouldn't surprise anyone. I think this is why we're here today. The travel market is a huge industry. The problem with these sites is when you show up, the experience often falls short of the former grandeur of the location itself. So too often you're met with a partially deconstructed edifice or a field of grass. So what we do at TimeLoopers, we've created a platform that allows people to relive the incredible moments that happened at these sites around the world. Now, if you'll humor me for a moment, I'm going to attempt the miraculous and do a live demo here. We're going to take you back to 1945 at the end of World War II, the iconic VJ Day Kiss moment. So this is an event that happened in Times Square. When you go to Times Square today, it's overcrowded, over-commercialized. Most people don't even realize that this event actually happened there. So this is Times Square today. Great. So that's what we do. We take you back in time, and everything starts in the present. We take you back to relive the events that shape different locations, and then we return to the present. So to walk you through how the experience works very quickly, the experience is purchased as an add-on at different sites around the world. So here in London, when a visitor goes to Tower Bridge, they have the option of purchasing the TimeLooper expense as an add-on to ticket. When they purchase the experience, they get a cardboard headset, like so, and then access to the content. So the experience is enabled with your smartphone and a cardboard headset. So one of the most powerful things about what we're doing here in London is that it's not just improving the economics on site at a place like Tower Bridge, it's also improving the ecosystem broadly across the City of London. So when we did our pilot at Tower Bridge, we found that our average user acquired at Tower Bridge proceeded to visit 2.5 other locations across the City of London. So there your users acquired, and you begin to control the flow of traffic throughout the city. So these are sites that have generally operated completely independently that we're now bringing together and benefiting from the foot traffic at these other locations. So here in the City of London, we have Tower Bridge, St. Paul's Cathedral, Tower of London, and Trafalgar Square. Almost every visitor that visits the City of London sees at least one of these 4 attractions. So I spoke quickly about tourism. We're also working in broadcast media and education. So within the education world, TimeLooper's partnered with Google Expedition to bring our experiences to the classroom. So you can imagine a world in which a 7th grader studies the Great Fire of London. Now we can actually take them, put them back in time outside of St. Paul's Cathedral and show them how fires were fought in 1666, or to see what the former Gothic architecture of St. Paul's Cathedral was like, et cetera. And then broadcast media. So CNN hired us earlier this year to create VR content to coincide with their series, The 80s, produced by Tom Hanks. So it's a historical retrospective in which they cover pivotal events that shaped the decade. So there, viewers watch an episode. They learn about, if they didn't already know, why the fall of the Berlin Wall was important to the 1980s as a decade, what it did for culture and history. And then we take them back and we put them in that moment. So in Berlin, as the wall fell down, separated east and west. So right now we're live in London, New York, and Izmir at a UNESCO heritage site. In the first quarter of 2017, we will soon be live Washington, D.C., Sydney, Beijing, and Seoul, with many more cities down the road. So when we think about, so that's a bit about TimeLooper. Now we'll transition to what it means for us to go global. So for us, we want to be at these top 100 historical sites around the world. But it's not just those historical sites, it's also the cities in which those sites are located. To start building, again, not just improving economics at the local site itself, but doing things for the cities, regions, countries. Maybe back to challenges ahead. So the first challenge, there are three main challenges to our business. The first one is not unique to TimeLooper at all. It's a problem that the Apples and the Googles of the world also face. But it's finding the right people. The thing that makes it a little bit different for us is because as a startup, we don't have the financial resources that some of these large blue chip corporates have to pull top tier talent away from other companies. So you really have to, one, rely on your personal network early on in the company's life cycle, but two, focus on people that are confident and truly vested in what you're doing. Two, the tourism market. So the world is a very, very big place, but each individual market, individual city is very isolated. So the city of London has its own marketing arm. They have their own tour operators that do walking tours or bus tours around the city of London. They have own marketing and PR. So it's very isolated within the market itself. So how do you think about spreading and growing across the world in an industry that's so isolated? And then three, what is VR? So we're not at a point in time yet where VR is ubiquitous enough in the market that you can create the best widget at the best price and then sell it. So you have to inform people and then sell to them. So it's slowly moving up earlier and earlier in the sales cycle. And then so along that same vein, there have been three partnerships or events that have helped our company tremendously. The first one I've already mentioned, CNN. So that's proof of content design. So the three videos that we created for CNN VR, who's a giant player in the market, rank number 1, 3, and 4 among all-time viewership. So there, it's proof to our partners and to the industry that the content that we're creating is top of market. Then two, business model. So when you're a new company creating and doing something new, you need very innovative partners. So we've had a tremendous opportunity to work with Tower Bridge here in London to provide proof of concept for our business model. Then three, scale. So I mentioned how the tourism market is incredibly isolated. So along that same note, you have to find partners that have already integrated themselves into the network. So working with a giant bureaucratic, admittedly, government institution is a great signal to the market, showing that we can work with governments across the world at this scale to bring the experience to all of their partner sites. So again, the US National Park Service, this experience is going to be focused on the National Mall in Washington, D.C., but they also run sites like Alcatraz, Ellis Island. So they're a huge player in the market. That's it for now.
Cool. Round of applause for Nick. Nick, can I invite you to sit down over here? So next up is someone who started a business himself and earlier this year got 3.3 million in investment. It's a problem that we all know really well, which is how to avoid dragging so much baggage on the tube when you get home after a long holiday. So I'd like to welcome Randall Darby, founder of Airporter, to the stage.
Good afternoon, everyone. World Travel Market, day one. And thank you very much, Will, for the great introduction there. before I kind of get into the business and some of the stuff that we've been up to and what we're now looking forward to, it's just quite cool for me to be here today, having literally been here 2 or 3 years ago, walking around out there with this crazy idea, talking to people, asking them if it had any legs, because it was the first time anything like this had been done before. And to now be here talking about scaling that up, working with some of the great brands that we wanted to. So anyone who's thinking about starting a business that has an innovative, disruptive objective in this industry, go for it. It's definitely worth it, and you won't look back. It's great fun. But obviously, I'm here to talk about Airporter and what we're doing to transform the way that we travel. So we use technology to enable the combination of data, security, and transportation elements with the vision and goal of facilitating frictionless and bag-free passenger journeys between global cities. And that's what we're really dead set on achieving, so that we can all travel in a completely different way in the future. And we always talk about it here at Airporter, where it should feel like catching a domestic flight without any bags at all. So that's what we're aiming to achieve, which will hopefully have lots of benefits to all of you. I'm not going to dwell on what we've been up to for the last couple of years too much, but we have been on what we call a 2-year build, establishing the business, which was a convenience-based, on-demand luggage delivery service. And we got that into Heathrow, Gatwick, and City. And we're now in a position where, for people who live in London, people who visit London, staying in hotels, we're even actually out on the information desk. If anyone's coming here with their bags, we will deliver your bags to and from the London airports within hours, saving you hours. And we've built the business to a point where today we're delivering thousands of bags all over London every month and have an amazing user rating, 5 stars, with so many people who really get out there and talk about the great experiences they've had as a result of being bag-free. So that's kind of what we've been up to. This session is all about talking about collaboration with big companies. And for the last 18 months, we've been focusing very much on that and looking to develop what we call our kind of next generation experience. And we've been collaborating with the very well-known British Airways to deliver that. So, what is it? It's something that literally launched, I think we've just got out of our first operational week. But what we do is we can now bring the whole airport and bag check-in experience to your front door. So that could be at a hotel, could be at your house, could be at your office, at a time that suits you. And as I said, that can be on the day that you fly, or it can be the evening before. So it really is focused on that convenience. And how does it work? Well, you can be luggage-free in 3 simple steps and next see your bags in destination. You book it either with us or via ba.com. We're now live on ba.com in lots of touch points. You arrange a 1-hour pickup slot. One of our vetted and trained drivers comes to your location, and using our proprietary app that we developed, they'll scan your boarding pass, passport. You'll answer the security questions on the device, and the driver will then seal the bag. We securely deliver it to the airport and check it in for you. And you can keep track of the journey all the way, see your bags as they move through that process, and even get a notification with your bag tag receipt saying, all you need to do is turn up and fly. Which, for the consumer, means you can breeze past the queues, you can head straight to security, and save even more valuable travel time. And this was just some of the press and some of the promotion of this new service, which is first of its kind, by British Airways over the last couple of weeks. Getting our wings. I know part of this session is to talk about some of the challenges that you experience as a startup entering a space like this. We actually have found a lot of our success in those challenges themselves. There was a lot of people when I started this business that said, good luck working with a big company like an airline, like British Airways, for example. It's going to take you a long time. Good luck getting the regulatory approvals to do something like this. Again, it's going to take you a long time. And because we had no preconceived ideas, and because we were bringing together people from outside of the industry, and complemented with, of course, we really put our minds to this and solving this problem. And because we had that approach and we weren't guided by what was, we've been able to do it. And we've been able to move in a very agile way as a startup, which is one of your biggest benefits. We heard the word bureaucracy used earlier. You know, that's one of the biggest challenges. You've got to adapt your processes as a startup to really learn how to work with big companies. And one of the challenges is really scaling up your team to be able to deliver against it when you've created the opportunity. But again, we were free from any certain commercial agendas. I sort of say we were agnostic. We were therefore able to get past all of the usual impediments that exist in the aviation space, for example, where people say, oh, who's going to pay for it? Is it me? Is it you? Is it the airport? Is it the airline? And come with a solution that was ready to integrate. And that certainly helped us move through some of those challenges by taking that on ourselves. And one of the other areas that certainly helped us was in being an enabler. Yes, we bring kind of disruption and we're bringing change to age-old processes, but we've already got some persuasive benefits to all the stakeholders, be it helping to address capacity constraints, encourage public transport utilization, deliver a better passenger experience. So by doing that, you know, we've really helped ourselves in cutting through that. So what's next? Well, we really like to imagine all air travel being as easy as it is without bags, as I said. So how are we going to go about delivering that? We're working with our industry partners to address what we call the kind of 6 remaining passenger pain points in the journey, which are either linked to entering data, security-related steps, or baggage. And you will hear a lot of airlines now talking about, you know, One ID, biometric token, how they can obviously deliver a seamless passenger journey through the entire journey, be that checking in the airport, arriving in destination. But you can only really move as fast as your bags will allow you to. And so we're very much integrating with those partners and designing these solutions together to remove those painful steps, whether that's traveling around in origin with your bags on public transport, getting to the airport, checking in, using a bag drop, all this kind of stuff. We can dissipate that, bring it to you at a time that suits you. And then in destination, we want to solve that problem of hanging around at the baggage reclaim so that you don't have to do that. And again, we'll facilitate the seamless flow of your bags to your hotel at the other end. So that's what we're working towards. And there's a lot of demand for it with consumers. These are just a couple of the results from the IATA Global Passenger Survey. A lot of people are happy to share more data if it means that they can enjoy a quicker journey with government. And 1 in 3 passengers said they would like to have their bags picked up and checked in from home. So we're looking at taking this and very much making it very integrated and an essential part of the journey. And it's driving that consumer mind shift that now all the stuff that you used to do in the airport, you can do at home. And that's one of our challenges. Sure. But industry is thinking about this, not just the passenger. It's not just the passenger that wants this. This is a quote from Tony Tyler, who said this in Dublin at the IATA general meeting, which basically says that the whole process needs to be redesigned. We need to find a way to vet passengers and their bags away from the airport so that when they arrive, they can have a quicker flow through the airport and get airside quicker. And so this is some of the stuff that we're working to solving. And our aim is to build a network to cover 30 global super routes, carrying 10% of the world's 3.5 billion passengers, opening up a 350 million passenger a year market opportunity, and for 10 million user trips to be taken annually. That's what we're working towards. So it's time to fly. We're very focused on expanding with British Airways, IAG, and affiliates. We're on a big drive now to hire kind of tech and product talent, which is quite challenging here in London because there's a lot of demand and limited supply. And then we're going to be moving into a much kind of larger scale venture funding round probably next year, which is all about expanding the business in those international cities. So that is what we're up to. And thank you very much.
Thanks, Randall. Brilliant. Yeah, if you just sort of throw it, I'm sure. I'm sorry to cut you short, but for me, just having all 3 of you sitting in a panel later is going to be some good questions. So just finally to say, over 8,000 customers now? 12,000, that's pretty strong. And a $7 million funding round in February early this year That means good things for everyone apart from the guy who's running it on the ground, because it means more work. So he's kindly given up his time to come speak to you. So welcome to James Osman, General Manager of EMEA from Triptease.
Thanks. Thank you very much. I have to admit, I feel like a little bit of a fraud because I believe that we're meant to be the representative of an established startup business. And the only way in which I can think we feel established is the fact that on Friday night in the freezing cold of White City, West London, last Friday, we organised a little five-a-side football tournament for online tech travel companies. We had Booking.com, Agoda, Expedia, SiteMinder, a whole load of businesses out there, and tiny little us. I mean, their collective valuation is worth billions, and we are that big. And the fact that we managed to beat Booking.com and Expedia, get through to the semis, get through to the final, and go out on a penalty shootout to Google is the only time I've actually felt like an established business. So forgive us if we come across as slight frauds otherwise. So Triptease, as you can see from the T-shirt, we believe in direct booking. Now, we're not anti-OTA. We think they're amazing businesses and do a great job. But we firmly believe that for the good of the hotel industry and guests, it's really important that there's a little bit more balance when it comes to distribution. We know that most consumers actually prefer to book direct, but they don't tend to because they think it might be cheaper elsewhere, or they're not clear about the benefits of booking direct, or they've been a little bit brainwashed into thinking there's only one place that you can book, which is on the OTAs. So we're helping to try and shift that. We have a direct booking platform, which sits across a hotel's website and booking engine, then provides a different kind of set of communication that encourages consumers to book direct and provides them with some transparency around pricing. As mentioned, we're about 12,000 properties at the moment, growing really quickly, and it's exciting times. So I'm just going to very, very quickly share some of the big things we got right and wrong and what that means for our future. This is a very beautiful hotel in London, the Hotel Corinthia. This is was our home in the early days of Triptease. We lived in the lobby of this hotel, primarily because it had free Wi-Fi and also a free business center, which was really helpful because we didn't have any money. But the main reason why it was great to be spending our time there was because it forced us to be very close to our customers. We're constantly living the mindset in that lobby of seeing people coming into a hotel and checking out. And just having that mentality of being so close to them and understanding what's going on for guests and hoteliers was actually really useful. And it was really useful because our first product sucked. So the first thing we actually launched was a digital postcard, which you share with your social network. It got great reviews. It was the editor's choice on the Apple App Store. It was beautiful. It had my little niece in one of the sort of early ones. It was a really big deal. We thought it was going to be great, and it failed horribly. So it took us a little while to get to grips with that, and then we launched another product. And guess what? That failed as well. So now time is against us. We're running out of money, and we spend a lot of time really trying to focus on what is it that's going to help drive more direct bookings. And we realized it was actually about that moment of when a customer is on a hotel's website and they suddenly think, I love this hotel, I love this room, but I wonder if it's cheaper elsewhere. And so we created the world's first price comparison widget, which sits on a hotel's website and brings some transparency around the prices around the web to help provide some guidance to customers at that particular key point. That helped us grow really quickly. And after just, I think it was 4 months after our first sale, we did something quite brave, I think, and bold, which was we actually went and started an office in New York. So we had one in London, and very quickly we were moving over the pond to go and establish a new operation over in America. That's scary, again, when you don't have much in the way of funding. But it was really important, that boldness, because it helped us to grow very, very quickly and expand and internationalize our business right from the get-go. And is one of the reasons why we've been able to get such traction. The next thing we did that I think was really important for us was we had a team which was growing in New York, and we had a team based in London. But none of them, they're all new because we just hired everybody. Nobody knew each other. So again, just as we were about to run out of money, and at the same time as we were getting quite a lot of attention, unwelcome attention from one of the big OTAs just before Christmas, we brought everybody together from New York and London over to Barcelona for 3 days. Now, this was spending money that we really didn't have. It was quite scary. But it was really important because it helped us to spend 3 days together, getting to know each other, and beginning to work out what is the business that we want to build. What is our culture going to be? What do we care about? What are our values? And so we created some different teams, different disciplines, and sent everybody off across Barcelona to use it as that beautiful city as a canvas to create videos that brought to life the culture that we were trying to create. It cost us a lot of money, which we didn't have, but it was worth absolutely every penny because it helped us to build the right team and culture from a very early stage in the business. I've got one more thing I want to share before I join you, which is a picture I absolutely adore. So this is a photograph that was taken in June of 2016. This is the lobby to a big event that we held in June called the Direct Booking Summit. It's where we got about 180 different hoteliers to come together. We had some really big speakers. We had Premier Inn, we had Google talking, we had TripAdvisor, lots of great business experts coming and talking about direct booking and the movement around direct bookings. And this was the entrance. And I love this photo because for me it says some really important things. The first thing is your business is only as good as your people. And the people we've got on this photograph, Katie and Charlie, are superstars. They're really great. And they're great because they really care about what they do. They care about their customers, their hotels, and trying to make a big difference to them. And I think that comes across when you look at this photograph. The other thing I love about it is it tells the other side of the story, which is the way in which we're going to be able to take a big step to the next stage is by staying this close to our customers, to understand what their ongoing needs and challenges and frustrations are. And frankly, when you hug a hotelier, you're pretty damn intimate. You're really rather close to somebody. And if we can metaphorically and literally stay that close over the next while and use that sort of understanding of our customers to keep iterating, keep bringing out new products, then I'm very confident that we're going to be able to take the next stage in terms of our growth. So for me, really, the trick to hitting the next stage is continue to do all the things that have helped us succeed so far. Being quite bold and brave, being ambitious. That's the thing that's going to take us from tens of millions of direct bookings that we're creating for our customers to up to 1 billion, which is our goal. Building the team, getting great talent in, staying very close to our customers, constantly iterating. Those are the things that are going to make the difference and take us to the next stage. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Leave us.
Please come join us. So thanks to all of you. That was the 3 really impressive stories. I guess the first thing I'd like to kick off with is around the way that you engage with large companies. So CNN in New York, IAG is a recent one, and obviously over 12,000 in your case. So I guess my opening question, starting with you, Nick, is how do those relationships come about, and what advice have you got for people looking to engage with big companies?
Yeah, so maybe I can answer the question with London, since we're here, since it was our first city and where we pioneered the product. So for us, the penetration of the London market was helped greatly by London and Partners. So London and Partners was helpful. London Partners serves as the marketing arm for the City of London. So this is an entity already that has inroads and networks throughout the City of London. And if you can design and cultivate your business model so that it's a win-win for your partners and yourself, then you're in a position to benefit from the work that's been done before you. So I think it's proof of concept before you even begin to create the company or to launch, and then it's that concept leads to the business model that aligns incentives for both participants.
Same question to you, Andy.
Yeah, well, I think the proof of concept point is a really important one. It's exactly what we did. And it was through getting a really solid proof of concept where you can demonstrate quality, you can demonstrate demand, and so really clearly setting what those objectives are at the beginning and what is the definition of your proof of concept, and then doing it and executing it and then taking it to some of these big companies. That's how I would have done things, or how I did do things. The thing that I find is really amazing, so I've been in this industry for 3 years, and already I've seen a huge amount of change, actually, specifically in the aviation space, where I wish they were doing it when I was first starting out, because perhaps I'd be even further down the path. But I mean, I've just seen perfect examples. So IAG launching their Hangar 51, which is a kind of an accelerator program. where they're inviting, disruptive startups with new products, new ideas to transform the journey, to come in and have access to top-level, management and even funding and relationships and everything. And if anyone has an idea that's going to benefit industry in that way, my recommendation is just get on Hangar 51. It seems like a great way to accelerate from idea to concept stage. They'll give you all the infrastructure and to get it out there. Annoyingly, we're now deemed to be too late for Hangar 51 because we've kind of gone through those hoops. But yeah.
I think just to add to those, EasyJet recently announced their collaboration with Founders Factory. And at the Traveltech Lab, we're always keen to help corporates engage with startups, so do get in touch.
I think that's something that is a good mindset shift in that big companies need to embrace early stage businesses and startups and not distrust them because of their size, because they're originally starting out 7 guys in an office somewhere. And actually need to worry more about supporting them and try to harness that creativity and new ideas. But, yeah.
Great source of ideas.
Well, of course, in the hotel industry, it's incredibly and ridiculously fragmented. So the big part of the market is actually the small independents, but the big corporates, there aren't that many of them. We talk about the mighty 8 that are the biggest 8 in the world. You put them together, they make up less than 15% market share. So really, the goal for us is relationships with lots of independent hoteliers. But to get the business going, it was important to go and build some relationships with the really big groups. To do that, we had to create a slightly specialist team because what they need is very different from our core audience. So we had people who specialized in talking to them, looking after them. The product's slightly different, more customized to them. But what we always had in our mind is whilst we wanted to connect with them early in the story of the business, ultimately, the big play for us is smaller independents. So it's about how did we manage to keep a slightly different product and way of working at the same time as trying to go after what is our core audience, which is smaller independents.
Thanks. I think we're going to open up to Slido, get a bit of tech in the place. I'm just looking at my face at the moment. It's quite intimidating. There we go. Cool. So just for Randall, how do you handle concerns about luggage safety and security?
Yeah, well, as I kind of mentioned, you can imagine this was one of the biggest roadblocks in our way when we were trying to come up with this whole business. So we pretty much dedicated our lives over the last 3 years to making sure that we could develop something that was so secure and really robust and reliable. And I guess the easy way to answer that question is what we've developed as a solution was very much done in collaboration with the airports, the airline, so British Airways, and the regulators. So we went through a whole collaboration between all of those stakeholders. And so what we have developed as a solution is compliant with aviation security regulation, not just here in the UK, but in the EU. And I mean, we even had, for example, Department for Homeland Security needing to come and vet our processes here in London because we're checking in bags going on US-bound flights. And that's definitely one of the biggest challenges for a company of our age is to be able to meet those requirements. But yeah, we've kind of developed a way where we can track and audit every interaction with a bag. We seal a bag and can guarantee the integrity of the bag. And it's really interesting. We're now perceived as an incremental layer of security by industry. What we do does not change anything that's done in the airport. It simply adds another layer. And anyone who knows anything about security knows it's all about layering. And the more layers you get, the better. So if you can do that whilst delivering a great passenger experience, then it's a kind of win-win.
Cool, thanks. The next question on the stage of the development they covered in the slides, and with TimeLooper, please get in touch if you want to know how to work with them. But the question on what's the exit plan? Is it build revenue or actually sell yourselves to a bigger company? Feel free to keep it to yourself. But if not, what's the journey for TimeLooper?
Yeah, so I think for a lot of startups, the business origination came out of a pain point So for us, all of us at TimeLooper have been fortunate enough to travel a tremendous amount growing up. And when you're a kid visiting the Colosseum or some of these iconic places in the world, you're left to your imagination, to imagine what it was like when gladiators used to fight there, when Julius Caesar ruled life and death. But now the technology's gotten good enough that you can actually see what it's like to be there. So for us, it's never been about making something that we can sell quickly. It's about changing the way that people view and experience history. So it's not, we're not focused around a quick exit or anything of the like. It's really a much more altruistic motive about experiences for tourists and travelers around the world.
There's a great question from Jeff aimed at you, James. Other than beating them at football, how was your relationship with Booking.com? How has it evolved over time? And is there anything you should have done differently?
Ooh, lots of questions. Well, look, we're playing football together, so that's a big step forward. That's a bit like the Boxing Day truce or Christmas Day truce, I guess, on the in the middle of the First World War. We are in touch remotely, but we're all, there's no fireworks going on at the moment. I think we're sort of just keeping an eye on each other, really. Is there anything I'd do differently? Not really. To be honest, one of the most exciting days I've had at Triptease was the day they started threatening us, where you go from the feeling of total depression and your business is finished to we've got 7 ideas on how we're going to fix this. And being able to do that with my brother, actually, particularly, was just a lot of fun. It continues to evolve. We have to see how it goes. But I don't think this technology is not going to be uninvented. Consumers want transparency. They want to book direct. So that stuff isn't going to go away.
Okay. We've just got time for one more question, which I'd like to take from the floor, if that's okay. So can we get the lights on the floor? Or not? Perfect, thank you. Has anyone on the floor got a question at all? Wow, I think you've either answered them all. Just before we move on to the last question, if you want to get in touch with us at the Traveltech Lab, we have Mel, who's down here in the front row, and we also have Danielle, who's there in the second row, and please come and find me after. I think we'll end up with, wow, how do Mel and Jeff become part of the next TimeLooper video? Brilliant. Okay, so yeah, we'll end with a question for James. That how do you work with corporates? How do you have that relationship in terms of your pricing model? Like, how did you establish what the correct way to engage with corporates is?
So the chap from SiteMinder earlier on was talking about SaaS, software as a service. Subscription-based is how we operate. So we charge a flat fee to our customers, and obviously the more bookings that come through from our platform, again, that becomes better and better value for them. But we also, if it's preferred, can do a performance-related element to it as well, which is more on a kind of CPA basis. So it's a little bit flexible.
And then, Randall, with yourself?
Sorry.
And with yourself?
What was that?
With regards to the pricing model, like how is it just a customer-facing product, or do you have any?
No, I mean, at the moment, the way we kind of built the business was very much on the B2C side. And again, that was part of our proof of concept. We went out to consumers and started engaging with them, and they started using the service, and that then helped us get it in front of the B2Bs. But ultimately, I think our route to market is B2B2C, but also, I mean, a lot of people ask, surely this is the kind of service that the airlines will build into, their kind of perhaps top-tier seats and stuff like that. And there's definitely B2B revenue models for us as well. But at the moment, we're kind of focusing on the B2B2C. So with that kind of usage being driven by and paid for by the end consumer. Yeah.
And finally, the same question to you, Nick.
Yeah. So for us, we don't make money on the content production. We produce content at cost, and then partner with sites and share revenue as dictated by upfront cost spending. So for us, it's very much about a partnership, because that's how you get buy-in with these larger corporates or sites themselves. They're then incentivized to activate the POS and to market the experience, and then again, they benefit from 50, 70% of the revenue based off of the cost allocation. So for us, that's how we share revenue and how we share cost. When you think about pricing, we're producing experiences that aren't yet in the market, so you look for the most tangible comp, which is audio guides. So audio guides generally price from 20 to 30% of ticket. So generally for new experiences, that's our window.
Brilliant. Well, can you all join me in giving them a huge round of applause? Thank you very much, guys. It's been really interesting.
Cool.